New figures show a dramatic rise in the number of parents refusing to send their children to school. Parents are homeschooling a record 43,000 children across the country, twice as many as back in 2019, pre-pandemic.
Well, nearly 45,000 Aussie kids are registered for homeschooling, with more and more parents now choosing the unconventional route.
There's a quiet revolution happening in suburbs and towns all across Australia. It's not happening in the streets, it's not being debated in Parliament, it's happening around kitchen tables and in spare bedrooms converted into classrooms. It's the sound of parents making a radical choice. The sound of school bags being unpacked for the very last time. For South Australian teacher Wayne Jaishke, it started with a feeling every parent dreads. His daughter just couldn't go to school. It wasn't a choice. It was a crippling anxiety that left her unable to walk through the school gates. In his own words, it was a not being able to situation. He was a teacher himself. He believed in the system. But day after day, he saw the emotional toll it was taking on his child, the light in her eyes dimming, and he knew something had to give. He's not alone. Far from it. What was once seen as a fringe, alternative lifestyle is fast becoming a mainstream reality. We're in the middle of a homeschool boom. Tens of thousands of parents are pulling their kids out of the formal education system, and the reasons why should concern every single one of us. This isn't just about a few families wanting a different lifestyle. This is about a mass exodus, a vote of no confidence in a system that many believe is failing our children. Today we ask, why are so many running for the exits? We are the resistance. We are the ones asking the questions the mainstream media is too afraid to, and we can only do it because of you. This channel is 100% independent, funded by Aussies who've had a gutful of the spin and the lies. If you want to join the fight, if you want access to our uncensored, unfiltered, raw truths that you won't find anywhere else, then join our Patreon. For a few bucks a month, you become a vital part of this movement. You help us expose the truth and fight for the Australia we all deserve. The link is in the description. Let's get back to it. Forget everything you think you know about homeschooling. Forget the stereotype of the hippie family living off-grid. The new face of homeschooling is the face of your neighbour. It's the face of a teacher like Wayne Jaishke. It's the face of a mum who just wants the bullying to stop. Dr. Rebecca English, an education expert from QUT, has a name for this new wave: accidental or unwilling homeschoolers. She estimates they make up a staggering 80% of the families now teaching their kids at home. 80%. In her words, it's not actually a choice. They've run out of road. And the numbers back it up. Since 2020, the number of homeschooled kids in Australia has exploded by 80% to over 45,000. In Queensland, the growth is an unbelievable 250% in 5 years. In New South Wales, the numbers have more than doubled to nearly 13,000. In Victoria, the growth in secondary school-aged homeschoolers is up 167%. This isn't a trend, it's a tidal wave of families saying, no more. So what's driving it? The number one reason will break your heart: bullying.
The first reason is usually a social reason, and often that's to do with bullying, and that can be a real challenge for kids.
An epidemic of bullying that our schools seem utterly powerless to stop. We spoke to Sandy Whiteman, a Brisbane mother who pulled her 2 neurodivergent children out of school. The reason? Bullying. She said she went through a very traumatic period and that the school simply wasn't resourced to manage her kids' needs. Now she says, I prioritise the mental health of my kids. And that's the key. For so many of these accidental homeschoolers, it's a desperate move to protect their children's mental and emotional well-being. They're not just leaving the school system, they're fleeing it for the safety of their own homes. Our schools are in crisis. They are failing the very children who need them most. Kids with anxiety, kids on the autism spectrum, kids who are just a little bit different. The square pegs in round holes, as Dr. English calls them. The one-size-fits-all, noisy, rigid environment of a modern classroom is their personal hell, and the system is trying but struggling to adapt. But it's not just the kids with special needs who are being let down. The system itself is becoming a bureaucratic nightmare for parents. In New South Wales, if you want to do the right thing and register your child for homeschooling, you're forced to wait an average of 65 working days for your application to be processed. That's an entire school term your child is left in limbo. A scathing report from the Auditor General found the state government had completely failed to monitor student outcomes in alternative settings. It's pure incompetence. And then there's the other elephant in the classroom. The stuff that's actually being taught. Many parents are looking at the curriculum and asking, what on earth is going on? They see a system that seems more focused on social agendas than on core skills like reading, writing and arithmetic. Bella Debrera from the Institute of Public Affairs says the national curriculum is infused with woke ideology. She says it's prioritising radical gender theory, and it is full of critical race theory. And while the education elites clutch their pearls and scream culture wars, parents are looking at the cold, hard results. Almost a third of Australian children are failing to meet the new basic proficiency standards for literacy and numeracy. Let that sink in. We're spending more on education than ever before, and our results are going backwards. It is a bloody disgrace. Is it any wonder parents are starting to think they can do a better job themselves?
As a principal of a middle high school, I am very passionate about making sure that all my students feel safe and included and respected. We have ability in our grading system or our student tracking system to change pronouns, preferred pronouns and preferred names.
Let's be blunt. Parents are worried about their kids being indoctrinated. When the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, warned about woke curriculums and threatened to pull funding, the media and the education unions had a meltdown. But he was tapping into a genuine widespread concern among ordinary Australian families. In Victoria, the curriculum has been updated to teach kids as young as 5 that their body parts may not match their gender identity. Fair dinkum. 5 years old, when most kids are still learning to tie their shoelaces. The Education Department thinks it's appropriate to introduce them to contested adult concepts. We've seen reports of schools socially transitioning children without their parents' knowledge or consent. This isn't education, it's activism. Nearly 2,000 Victorian parents have signed a petition demanding changes to the gender ideology curriculum. They're not bigots. They're parents who believe they have a right to be involved in their children's education, especially when it comes to sensitive and deeply personal issues that have lifelong consequences. They see universities like Macquarie Law School making an acknowledgement of country a compulsory, graded part of an assessment, and they worry that same ideological conformity is trickling down into the classroom. They hear about teachers being disciplined for not using preferred pronouns, and they wonder if there's any room left for common sense or dissenting thought. Parents are concerned that the classroom has become a breeding ground for a particular worldview, where questioning the narrative is not just discouraged, but punished. This isn't about stopping kids from learning about the world. It's about who gets to decide what they learn and when. It's about whether the primary role of a school is to educate or to socially engineer. And for a growing number of parents, the answer is clear. They're voting with their feet. So what does this revolution look like? It looks like the Lumbie family in Bundaberg, with their 4 kids learning around the kitchen table, finally getting the one-on-one attention they'd never get in a class of 30. Mum Kelly says she wants to be the parent who witnesses everything firsthand, rather than hearing about it from a teacher. It looks like teacher-led homeschool hubs popping up in Perth, where parents, some of them former teachers themselves, pool their resources and skills to create a micro school that actually works. It's a powerful reminder that when a system fails, people will find their own solutions. They're not waiting for the government to fix the bullying crisis. They're not waiting for the curriculum to be de-woked. They're taking back control. They are creating a parallel education system, one that prioritises the child, not the institution. It's the ultimate irony. Parents are paying taxes to fund a public education system that has failed them, and then they're paying a second time, with their own time and often a lost income, to do the job themselves. What a joke. Of course, it's not easy. One parent often has to quit their job or go part-time. They have to become an expert in navigating the complex red tape that varies from state to state. They have to become a teacher overnight, a counsellor, a principal, and a school nurse, all rolled into one. But for them, the sacrifice is worth it. They're saving their kids from anxiety, from bullying, from a system that no longer reflects their values. They are, in the truest sense of the word, taking responsibility for their children's future. And maybe, just maybe, they're showing the rest of us the way. The Great School Walkout is a story the establishment doesn't want you to hear. They want you to think everything is fine, but it's not. And we'll keep exposing the truth. If you want to be part of the solution, please consider supporting our work on Patreon. Every dollar helps us fight for a better Australia. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.